So here we go. I'll show you guys with the dummy. So we're talking about top half guard, okay? So top half guard, the way I like to mimic top half guard with a dummy is I'll put my knee down in the middle, I will lift my dummy's leg, and I will kind of turn the corner here to put my calf underneath my dummy's leg, okay? So this, for our purposes, is half guard, okay? So from half guard, you have a ton of leg lock setups, okay? You have leg locks on the free leg, you can leg lock this trapped leg as well, but for now, let's just warm up with a simple step over sequence. So again, I'm going to put my hands on my dummy. I have the half guard. I'm going to take my free leg, so the leg that is not trapped in the half guard. I'm going to step over, and I'm going to turn and sit right here. Okay, so right here, I'm going to turn and sit. Now, from here, I can immediately start attacking this leg, but we're going to take it one step further. I'm going to rotate through to my opposite hip, and I'm going to form a triangle. Okay, and now we can kind of reverse this, right? From here, I release the triangle, I come back, I whip my leg back around, and this is where it starts to get a little weird because of the dummy, because you will remove your leg, so you're gonna have to put it back here, all right? And we can just cycle back and forth. So, step over, right? Pick up the leg, and here, if your dummy had a foot, you can look for toe holds, knee bars, whatever else, but I'm going to spin through, form my triangle, put the leg in my opposite hip, right here, and now release that leg, come back over, back step around, pick up the leg, back to half guard. Okay, so basic step over sequence. Nigel's already got it. Just play with that for a couple minutes, and then I'll talk about a couple of different setups. Rotate there. Back. You can just step back over as well. That works as well. Sure. Good. Turn the corner, sit down. Yep, you got it. Leg in the middle is going to bend. Ten seconds. Time. Okay, now taking it back a step, I'm going to talk about a fairly common yet somewhat underutilized knee bar from the half guard, and this is the sprawl back knee bar. Someone pulled it off on Tough once. I forget. This was in the house on a fairly recent season of Tough. Yeah, so it wasn't, it wasn't an actual fight, I guess. It was one of those exhibitions where they were like fighting in the house.
Yeah.
So the guy was camped out in half guard and he did this. In jiu-jitsu, it still happens from time to time. You see it sometimes at the black belt level, which is my gauge for the viability of any technique. Bernardo Faria, actually, for those of you that know who he is, made a career out of this. So he did this to everyone, and he did this a lot, and he had a lot of success with it. But he is retired now. But if you look back at some of his matches, he did this a lot. He would just either threaten it, or he would just finish people with it.
He had a free instructional out yesterday.
Yes, so I'm going to rotate, Coach Nathan, rotate that way, please, just so we can see this. So this knee bar originates from the half guard, but a lot of times how people will set this up is from a sort of over-under position. So it's like I'm setting up an over-under pass, meaning my arm is going to thread underneath this free leg to the hip, right? I'm going to hug it nice and tight. I'm going to walk my other leg up. Now, sometimes, right, I'm attempting an over-under pass and I can't get it to go. What I can do is I can back my hips up so my hip covers the knee. My inside leg is going to hook the back of Coach Nathan's Achilles, right? And I'm trying to be nice about this, but I'm going to pull my heel to my butt and I'm going to push my hips into the knee. Okay, this is actually a very strong knee bar. This is essentially, yes, it hurts a lot. Or it feels like your knee is going to explode. But what's essentially happening is I'm hooking. If we think about this like an arm bar, my upper body is stabilizing the hip joint, which would be the equivalent of the shoulder. The important part is that I really hook this ankle, right? And that's the equivalent of my arm holding the wrist. What I want to do is I want to be on my toes. I want to generate a bit of an angle, so I'm pulling it this way to take some slack out of the joint. And there it is. You can see my voice barely changed, right? I'm just pulling gently and hipping in. And that is a very quick tap. Okay, so very effective knee bar, somewhat underutilized since Bernardo Faria's retirement, but a very solid technique, and it combines well with the over-under pass. So here's how we're going to get this one done. So I start from the half guard, right? I'm going to put that foot underneath. I'm going to hug underneath this leg and at this hip, right? Now, I'm going to slide my leg back, hooking the ankle, and you're just going to hip into the leg, and you should feel your hip kind of run into resistance. Of course, these dummies don't have kneecaps or knees for that matter, so it's going to feel a little different. If you're doing this to a live partner, make sure you're hipping in very slowly. This is a somewhat volatile position. So underneath, right? I walk, I hook. I'm going to create a bit of an angle. Really make sure I'm hooking, bringing my heel to my butt, and then hipping in. I'm pushing my hips in, pulling back with my heel to apply the knee bar. All right? So give that one a try. Set it up in the middle, walk to the side, hip into it. So Gabe and Nate, do be careful. If you're doing this to a live partner, wrong leg. Your inside leg. Your inside leg hooks his heel. I wonder if that's a question. Let's have a look. Good.
Yeah, it's weird too on the dummy. I don't know, like, if I've got the ankle or not. I'm like, am I
Exactly.
up here or
You
am I
just slide down
here?
low.
I really don't know.
But you felt it, right? Once
You
you get
feel
the
it,
ankle,
yeah.
you know.
You feel it go tight, right? Like, otherwise it's just like all loose underneath you.
It's a nice glute workout, really pulling the heel back and in. Good, Travis. That's exactly it. You're gonna run out of room that way. Gabe, you gotta drag him to the side. To the side. Good. Now pull it back and behind you. Make sure you're covering the knee with your stomach.
So you're overhooking the far leg now, right?
Eh?
You're overhooking the far leg?
Yeah, so over here. Over here. Shoulder.
Or you can underhook. I find the underhook actually works better because it allows me to set my shoulder.
On the far leg?
Yes.
No, I guess I've been doing it. I just thought it was over.
30 seconds. This is a bit of a sensitivity issue with almost, Nate, almost. Roll to your side a little bit more. Roll to your left shoulder. Pull it back behind you. Back and around. Almost. Almost. Oh, you're struggling.
Your right. This one. Or yeah, sorry, no, your
No, it's my
your
left.
left. Yeah, it's
Time.
stomach there.
All right. So everyone seems to have it except for the two people that were working with live partners. Here's why. The knee. This is a knee bar, meaning I have to track my opponent's knee. Okay, what was happening with Gabe and Nate was once you slid back, what I meant when I said there was a sensitivity issue was that as they drop out of the room, great. 10 out of 10. When you look for this knee bar, it is important that there are 2 points I'm trying to track. One, I'm trying to feel for the direction my opponent's toes are pointing with my leg in the middle. So this leg is going to try and track which direction his foot and his toes, by association, are pointing. Number 2, my hip, or if you want to think about it, my belly, is tracking my opponent's kneecap. Okay, my belly needs to stay on top of the kneecap. So if my opponent starts squirming and turns his knee to the side, I have to adjust to that. Okay, even if I tip all the way to the side and I have to hip in from here. Okay, if I'm really chasing this finish, I can't even tip to my side, right? And I can hip in from here. There are even ways to finish this if you get put to your back, as long as you maintain the pressure and take the slack up. But the important thing is I got to be able to track the kneecap with my stomach. And again, I have to be able to track the direction of my opponent's toes because that's where the pressure is going to go, right? The way I take the slack out is I need to extend, basically force the bottom half of the leg below the kneecap to extend. And that's only going to happen with pushing into the direction, or in this case, pulling the direction where the toes are pointing. If I'm applying pressure this way, right, but his toes are pointed the wrong way, right? Or if I'm pushing up and down, but the toes are pointed that way, it's not going to affect the knee in the same way, right? It's not going to put pressure on those tendons or ligaments the same way. So again, from here, right, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to feel for the direction. I feel for the heel with the back of my knee, and that tells me where his toes are pointing, right? My hip is over the kneecap, and I barely have to do anything, and Coach Nathan's already tapped, right? But
terrifying.
Again, if I deliberately do this wrong, so you see Coach Nathan's toes are pointed that way, but I'm pulling up, I can do this until the cows come home. He's not going to tap to this, right? And that's because I've actually lost his kneecap with my hip. His kneecap is currently pointed towards that back wall, right? I can pull, I can hip in all I want. It's not going to work because I'm not covering the kneecap. And number 2, I'm pulling in a direction that is not. I'm pulling in the wrong direction, essentially. I need to pull in the direction his toes are pointing, and my hip needs to cover the kneecap. Again, a lot of people miss either one or both of those points, and then the submission falls apart, and they come back to me and they say, "Oh, this thing never works." I'm like, "Well, Are you staying on top of the knee, or are you tracking the knee? And which way are you pulling? Because this is a relatively simple submission once you get all your alignment in order. Okay, so great time to jump back in, Gabe and Nate. We're gonna talk about the knee bar now. So the knee bar. Let's start with the dumbbell. The knee bar from half guard. Again, talked about the knee bar on this trapped leg. We're going to talk about the knee bar on the free leg now. So, again, I'm going to go with my step over sequence. I'm going to sit. Okay? Once I sit, I'm going to drop to my shoulder as I hug this leg, sliding down, pinching my knees, sliding down to the end of the leg, putting it on my shoulder, and I'm going to hip in, throwing my hips in, pulling my heels back, keeping my knees tight, and staying tight to that leg up top. Okay? Now, if I come back over the top, right, from half guard, here, I step over, I sit, I pull that leg to me, I'm going to put it on my shoulder, I'm going to tip to my side, so I'm not rolling backwards, I'm going to keep everything tight, I'm going to tip to my side, pinching my knees, sliding down into the end of the lever, and then hipping in, keeping my knees pinched. Okay, I'm going to bring in Coach Nathan quickly.
He's here.
So, from here, it actually works easier for me if my opponent is on their side. If they're all the way flat, it's actually going to be tougher for me to get underneath that leg. Nice thing is, most people want to be on their side when they're playing half guard, right? So I can just push, step over, sit. Okay, right here. Once I get here, again, I bring that leg up. I'm going to hug the knee. And because Coach Nathan has long legs, I'm going to have to slide down the limb as I pitch to my side. So from here, right, I've collected the leg. I'm going to fall to my shoulder, slide to the end of the leg. I like to block the heel in this situation, and I pull and hip in. Okay? Knee bar from half guard. Good? Go ahead, guys. Yeah, just pinch tight. Pinch it against your shoulder. So it's your shoulder and your head. And it's in position. That's it. Tip to your side, keep your knees pinched. side. Okay. Now we're going to talk about our last setup. Same knee bar. We're going to talk about the back step setup this time. So from here, this is more of an open guard situation. So whether it's headquarters, De La Hiva, any sort of open guard really. I'm just going to stand with one leg in the middle, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to execute a back step. So this leg, the leg that's currently not in the middle, is going to whip all the way around to the other side as I drop my elbow. From here, assuming my opponent hangs onto my leg, right? I have various options for leg locks. If they do not hang on, if this was some sort of De La Hiva guard, I can easily collect this leg, drop to the side, and look for my knee bar right here. Okay? So, I'll just explain because people are probably a little confused. So this works differently whether my opponent decides to lock up or not. So if this were some sort of open guard and we were here, right? If I can clear this, I can backstep and I can hook the leg. It's now very easy for me to look for my knee bar from here. But sometimes your opponent will opt to triangle their legs, right? And if they've done this correctly, we might have to do some work to unlock this. It is doable, right? If I keep my legs locked, I'm going to peel for this far ankle, right? Once I get rid of it, pass it around, drop down, and then attack the knee bar again. But the ideal situation to look for this is perhaps De La Hiva guard. So that's reversed.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Hey?
So this
There we
foot,
go.
yeah, there we
There
go.
we go.
So he's here, right, and he's pressing. Put your foot on my hip. This. Right? So there, right. He's stopping me from getting to the headquarters with this foot and the De La Hiva, right. And he's also grabbed my ankle very smartly. So I can grab from here without giving too much away. As I backstep, I'm going to pick up the heel here, sliding back to the knee and attacking the knee bar directly. So, again, very useful against De La Hiva and various open guards, but can also be done from sort of a half guard lockup if you can clear your knee. Okay, so with the dummy again. Just backstepping. Because that leg is not elevated, it's going to be a little difficult for you to kind of pick it up. You could, I suppose, reach back and pick it up, but what we're going to do instead is you're going to backstep all the way around, drop your elbow, pick up the leg, drop to the side, and take your knee bar. Okay? So, back step knee bar. Last one. One has a good side.
Yeah, totally. What's that?
Yep,
You
you
get
can.
inside, so it's like the other one,
So it's like more like
and bring it inside around your leg, the opposite hip, because that's usually what they'll be doing anyways.
they're gonna be like
Wrap it around.
like
no,
here.
no, around your leg, and inside. So they're usually sticking their leg
Yes,
across
so
your
that
hooking
is
this
that
down.
would
This is
simulate
when
it.
you apply the actual leg.
Yes,
Okay,
that
so
would
that-
simulate the delta. You
I
know.
would just-
Yes, back step, take the knee bar. Time.
Okay.
All right. Super quickly, I wanted to go over the step over from the step back, so we have something to combine with our guard pass. So a lot of times when I back step, for whatever reason, maybe I can't unlock the knee bar, right? So I back step, and for whatever reason I can't get the knee bar. A lot of times it's very easy to connect this back to our pass. So if I back step over here and I can't get the knee bar, I'm going to take my arm that is currently on the far side. I'm going to get my underhook. Okay, I'm going to get the underhook on the near side. This is going to look a little funny, but you'll see why I got this underhook in a second. I'm going to take this leg. I'm going to take a big step over the top. I'm going to go into my knee cut pass. So I'm here, right? I stuff that leg. I back step, but I cannot get that knee bar. Right? He's locked in tight. I can't find it for whatever reason. What I'm going to do is I'm going to circle this hand around and grab the near side underhook. Now I'm going to take a big step over the top, drive that knee to the floor, and slide through. Knee cut pass. Okay? So back step, threading the knee bar. If we can't find the knee bar, we can always step back over with the underhook to go back to the knee cut. Again, if you were here for the last class, this will combine really well. We're going to jump into our round now. All right, starting from standing. You got it? Yeah. Do it. Knee cut pass. Side control. Knee on belly. Knee on belly arm bar. Grab the Kimura grip. Scissor choke. Step over. Side control Kimura. Good. And back to side control. Knee on belly. Knee on chest. Knee on belly. Knee on belly to mount. Roll into your guard. Arm bar. Back to guard. Arm drag. Take the back. Rear naked choke. Arm bar from the back. Switch into S mount. Back to regular mount. Standing back up. Head quarters. Back step, knee bar. Good. Sitting back up. Step over, knee cut. From your back step position, get the near side underhook, step over, knee cut. Back to side. Knee on belly. Windshield wiper. Jump switch. Knee on belly to mount. Americana from mount. Americana to arm bar. Arm bar to S mount. Back to regular mount. X choke from mount. Roll into closed guard. X choke from closed guard. Triangle from closed guard. Stuff the arm, lock it up, change your angle, squeeze. Time. Well done, guys. Any questions on anything we covered today? I guess those of you that were here for the first class, any questions on anything covered in either class, or any questions on leg locks. Again, this is a small part of the of leg locks and the whole leg lock game. I think it's a good starting point, personally, when I think about teaching leg locks to people who've never done leg locks before. I like to talk about top position because it offers you a lot more mobility, doesn't require a ton of elevation, so that's what we're working on. If you guys really want to see bottom setups, we can talk about doing that next class, maybe on Friday. So if that's something you want to go over, we can certainly do that as well. But just sticking with top setups today, okay?
Explain to them why, when you do the De La Hiva, how the Kneebar actually comes into play.
Aha. Okay. So the reason.
Every time.
Yeah, you do. So with the De La Hiva, a lot of times when someone tries to expose your back, they'll opt for what is known as a deep De La Hiva. So, coach, I'll do it. I'll do it. Switch with me. Switch with me.
Just saying, just turn so they can see where
Oh. So, a lot of times, right, with the De La Hiva. So if I have the De La Hiva, I'm here. If I have no idea what you're talking about.
so you can see where your leg is going.
Okay, so I have the De La Hiva. This is a very traditional De La Hiva. I might be working with sleeve ankle or sleeve collar. Maybe I have the belt. But if I'm looking to expose Coach Nathan's back, one of the most popular back takes from De La Hiva is what's called the baby bolo. So I will get up on my shoulder and try to shove this leg all the way through, getting through to the back, right? I can put a butterfly hook in, and I can start getting behind Coach Nathan here. Coach Nathan is going to use this tendency. He's going to exploit this tendency for me to stick my leg all the way in there.
Just posture up, Nathan.
Yep.
So they can see where his foot is. So his foot is going from the leg all the way up to the hip. That's how you get back exposure. That's the knee bar. You can already see his leg is straight. That's the knee
It's
bar.
already extended. So if Coach Nathan just backstepped into me and slid down my knee, right, boom, there's your knee bar. So that's kind of the game, right? The same thing would apply from reverse De La Hiva. It's just a little more confusing. So as I try to spin here, right, you see, as I try to create back exposure, there is a knee bar here, right?
Step back with this leg.
Oh. Can you do the spin?
Yeah, sure. So
Okay.
for reverse.
Yeah, so that's
Here?
regular De La Hiva.
Oh, sorry.
Or real. No, this one. There. Okay? So as Coach Nathan goes to spin, I'm actually attacking this leg now. So if he leaves this leg there, all I'm going to do, it requires a bit more movement, but I'm going to pinch this leg, drop over here, and I can attack this leg. So a lot of modern guards rely on, inversion, leg extension, all that stuff, and it's actually fairly easy to exploit once you start looking for knee bars.
You fell off screen there, so you have to go back and show.
Aha. So, reverse De La Hiva, Coach Nathan's going to try and spin, right? He's spinning underneath. I'm attacking this leg. Coach Nathan's gotten smart to this. He's starting to tuck this. That's fine, right? If I really wanted this knee bar, I would pull this thing out, bring my leg across, and then attack over here. Guess I would put it on my bottom shoulder. There. Okay. Is that visible?
Yeah.
Okay.
Think
So again, a lot of modern guards rely on inversion, leg extension, all that sort of stuff, and those are tendencies we can exploit from top position. Once again we start looking for knee bars, right? A lot of you probably aren't in that mindset. That's perfectly fine. Right? I didn't start thinking about leg locks until I was a purple belt, really. So you're in good shape, right? But once we start looking for it, things really start to open up, and it's using what our opponent is giving us. Good. All right, perfect. It's valid class. Left or right? Us.
It was